From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Going the extra mile, all to deliver a pizza. See why this delivery guy's story is going viral. The weather system we've been talking about for months has finally arrived.
It was almost a year ago, back in February of 2024, when the National Weather Service's Climate Prediction Center issued its first La Nina watch.
As President-elect Trump's pick to lead the EPA gets grilled by lawmakers.
We can and we must protect our precious environment without suffocating the economy.
Hear what he has to say about the controversial Waters of the U.S. rule and climate change right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer. Pioneer brand corn has the home field advantage with rigorous local testing to give you a winning season. Pioneer brand corn, your best year starts here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Several of President-elect Trump's picks for cabinet positions are in the hot seat on Capitol Hill this week. Among them, his pick to be the next EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, the former New York congressman appearing before the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. Zeldin has promised to dismantle so-called left-wing environmental regulations if he's named the next leader of the EPA. He was asked specifically about the Waters of the U.S. rule following a recent Supreme Court decision.
Laws are written by Congress, and there are cases that have come out from the Supreme Court that provide the EPA with clear guidance on how we must do our job under the law. It is important that when you're going back to your home state and you're speaking to your farmers, that you are able to, with confidence, be able to explain to them that the federal government is doing our part so they can define what waters of the U.S. are without them having to go hire an attorney or someone else, pay a lot of money to ensure compliance. So I will make sure that I'm doing my part, that the EPA is honoring the decision of Sackett and any future laws to come out of Congress.
Do you agree with President-elect Trump that climate change is a hoax?
Well, first off, Senator, it was great to meet with you as well. I believe that climate change is real, as I told you. As far as President Trump goes, the context that I've heard him speak about it was with a criticism of policies that have been acted because of climate change, and I think that he's concerned about the economic costs of some policies where there's a debate and a difference of opinion between parties.
Now, Zeldin told the committee the EPA must do everything it can to harness the power of innovation with the greatness of American conservation and environmental stewardship, along with protecting the environment while protecting the economy. And the Senate Ag Committee is scheduled to hold a confirmation hearing on Wednesday, January 23rd, for President-elect Trump's pick to lead USDA. We've been keeping you updated on the nominee, 52-year-old Brooke Rollins. Now, she's a native of Texas and former White House aide under President Trump's first term. Now, it's reported Rollins has been meeting with senators, including Democrats, on the Ag Committee. Farm Journal Washington analyst Jim Wiesmeyer says so far there has been no substantial opposition to her nomination. Several farm and commodity organizations wrote the panel urging quick action to move Rollins' nomination forward. John Deere's responding to a lawsuit filed against it by the FTC over right to repair issues. And we told you yesterday the lawsuit alleges for decades, Deere has unlawfully limited the ability of farmers and independent repairers to fix Deere equipment, instead forcing farmers to rely on Deere's network of authorized dealers to make necessary repairs. Now, in the statement, Deere highlighted the fact that FTC Commissioner Andrew Ferguson had a dissenting opinion in the suit, which said the action appears to be the result of brazen partisanship and appears, quote, taken in haste to beat President Trump into office, end quote. Now, one Deere leader calling the lawsuit meritless and promised to vigorously defend itself. Earlier this week, Deere announced new capabilities that will be integrated into the John Deere Operations Center to allow producers more solutions for diagnosing and repairing equipment. A mixed report this week when it comes to drought coverage across the country. The latest drought monitor showing conditions worsened in central Texas, the Southwest, and Southern California. Forecasters say much of Southern California is in severe drought, including where those wildfires are burning. However, improvements were seen in parts of East Texas, the South, Southeast, and Midwest, where we've seen some recent snowfall. Right now, more than 36% of the nation is estimated to be in drought, matching the previous week. And looking ahead, forecasters say the weather for much of the country looks very La Nina-like, leaning towards more moisture for the northern U.S. while drier in the southern part of the country. USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says it took a while for La Nina to get here, and he says a La Nina watch was issued by the National Weather Service way back in February of last year.
We never quite reached the threshold in terms of oceanic temperatures for La Nina. So month after month, we dragged on with this La Nina watch in effect, and that carried all the way through December of 2024. So we, at that point, had seen 11 continuous months with a La Nina watch.
A brief break from winter's chill is coming to an end in the central U.S. Meteorologist Jack Van Meter has a look ahead for us.
Temperatures this afternoon actually going to be warming up for much of the eastern part of the country. We're pretty much talking the Midwest and again all the way to the East Coast. As we can see, St. Louis 52 degrees, 43 degrees is a high temp this afternoon in Chicago. A little cooler when we get up to the Northeast, 35 degrees up there in Rochester, New York, and 47 in Richmond. What we're seeing is again a big ridge of high pressure really setting up over portions of Kentucky and also portions of Tennessee as well. And what that's really doing is allowing a lot of warm air to be rising. That being said, tomorrow we'll be cooling down just a little bit as we can see that Arctic air really start to move down and start to dig into much of the portions of the country. 2 degrees out there in Omaha starting off the day and 8 in Chicago. And as we can see, that air still trying to push down for much of the afternoon. And just a little bit of chill over the past couple of days across the Midwest. This picture taken by Farm Journal's Rhonda Brooks as she was on her way to Champaign, Illinois. Temperatures hovering near 13 degrees at the time as she traveled through this cleverly named town of Thawville. The temperature in Thawville yesterday, of course, was averaging 32 degrees. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
Canada is reportedly preparing tariffs in anticipation of President-elect Trump's proposed trade moves. Reuters says Canada is drafting a $105 billion tariff list on U.S. products. That's if Mr. Trump imposes tariffs on Canadian goods. The preemptive strategy was discussed during a meeting between Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Canada's provincial premiers. However, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith opposed curbs on energy exports, a key sector for the province. Mr. Trump has said he wants to impose a 25% tariff on Canada in an effort to tighten border security and cut the flow of illegal immigrants and drugs coming into the country. Meanwhile, outgoing U.S. Trade Representative Katherine Tai is warning the next administration not to rely on tariffs for revenue. Speaking with Bloomberg, she called the reliance on tariffs as a primary revenue source, quote, very, very dangerous. Now, during her leadership as USTR, Tai kept many of the tariffs the previous administration put in place. However, in the interview, she argued tariffs used to replace income taxes would burden lower-income Americans, adding she believes while tariffs can incentivize companies to reshore critical manufacturing, she emphasized they should not be used to fund the government. President-elect recently proposed creating an external revenue service in order to collect tariffs and offset income taxes. Just as the U.S. prepares to resume shipments of cattle from Mexico, USDA is updating its list of countries impacted by New World screwworm. The agency formally notifying Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, and Costa Rica that they've been added to the list of regions affected by screwworm. APHIS says the additions followed screwworm detections by veterinary officials, the World Organization for Animal Health, or other credible sources. Now, currently, 124 countries are on the affected list. Mexico cattle shipments are temporarily restricted due to screwworm, but those limits are expected to be lifted next week. More new tech is getting rolled out from the big ag manufacturers, CNH announcing its new chatbot powered by AI. The company says CNH AI Tech Assistance Tool is already at work at over 300 authorized ag and construction dealer groups in North America, Australia, and New Zealand. It works by simulating conversation to provide a diagnosis and repair plan for CNH brand machines. Now, CNH says the technology enables dealer techs to save time on repairs and provide answers to technical questions about older models. The company expects the tool will be live in 4 of its regions by March. It's cold in the U.S., but traders are watching weather in South America. What the forecast means for markets, coming up next. And later, celebrating the potato as industry leaders gather in Florida. It's Fresh Produce Fridays ahead on AgDay. We're starting the new year with a new snapshot of the rural economy. This one is courtesy of the latest Rural Main Street Index, the survey of rural bankers by Creighton University, starting 2025 with a reading of 42.3. Now that's up slightly from December's reading of 39.6, but is still below growth neutral for the 16th time in the past 17 months. The survey says for the 8th time in the past 9 months, farmland prices sank and farm equipment sales also dropped for the 18th straight month. On average, bankers expect about 1 in 5 grain farmers to experience negative cash flow this year. Corn and soybeans pulled back on Thursday. AgDay's Michelle Rook joins us with more on what analysts are watching right now in South America.
Joining us with markets, Mike Zuzolo with Global Commodity Analytics. Well, Mike, let's talk about the grains. We're at some critical junctures here for corn and soybeans, and South American weather is playing a big role in that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Michelle, and we're going to, I think, find out how much, especially as we get ready for Martin Luther King Day on Monday. The big thing I think that I am talking to clients and subscribers about right now about Argentine weather specifically is, to me, that's corn and that's meal. And so those are the drivers to the upside if we stay dry. My South American colleague and maps that I look at and precip maps, soil moisture maps, they kind of suggest to me right now that if we don't get rains in Argentina and alleviate this drought, 10, 15 days from now, we could be at a situation not unlike what we dealt with here in the States in 2012 in terms of irreparable damage, sharply lower yield potential. And I think that's something to really keep an eye on here. We're kind of in the heart of a bona fide South American weather market. USDA helped us with that last week by tightening the U.S. supplies.
The other thing that you're watching is the currency market. The dollar has recently hit new highs to just about every other major currency in the world, right?
Yes, especially against our major trading partners that we're talking about putting tariffs on when the new administration comes in. And so the technicals right now could be suggesting the trade is working back towards not as aggressive tariffs, and therefore the dollar doesn't need to have the premium that it has against the Brazilian, Chinese, Canadian, Mexican currencies. And you could throw the Russian ruble on top of that as well. So a major high in the dollar against these currencies, that could be quite helpful in terms of market continuing to rotate more into commodities, including agriculture. So those are the two things that really watching kind of contradictory issues. What if it turns wetter, but the market still goes higher? Is that because the dollar's made a high?
Okay, so part of what's influencing the dollar, let's talk about the tariff situation. Certainly, we're hearing more about incremental tariffs. And do you think the president will go through with that? And what would that look like?
I do. I think Canada and Mexico have both made moves in terms of olive branches to negotiate in earnest.
Thanks so much. Mike Zuzolo with Global Commodity Analytics. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
Watch Markets Now with Michelle Rook on the Farm Journal YouTube channel, keeping you updated throughout the day on the markets at the open, midday, and close. Find out what moved the markets today and what to expect the market to do next.
Taking a look at our radar image for the day, we are going to be tracking out a system that is actually going to be starting in the morning and tracking off through much of your Saturday for your weekend. So let's go ahead, start here at 7 o'clock in the morning. Notice some of the clouds indicating some moisture in the Dallas and Houston region. I'll put this in motion, and what we're going to be seeing is a lot of moisture coming together. I've got this paused here Saturday morning so we can see a very distinct freezing line is starting to form through central portions of Indiana and parts of southern Ohio as well. And of course, the temperature south is going to be over 32 and the temperature north is going to be over 32 degrees. This is going to be our next system that we're going to be keeping an eye on for much of the breadbasket portions of the United States, and also again the East Coast going to be slammed again with some snowy conditions. Also going to be watching another bit of disturbances starting to come together, especially out west. We're talking portions near Denver, Colorado. See some mountain snow starting to develop. Notice again that system pushes off by Sunday, and then what we're going to be watching are the lakes as that cold Arctic air moves through the region and moves over that warm water, of course, creating some lake effect snow showers, especially for our Sunday, where parts of the panhandle of both Texas and Oklahoma, for that matter, might be seeing some snow to start off the week. But let's go ahead and track out the jet stream and show where this polar plunge is really going to be coming from. As I've got the jet stream started today, I'll drop this in motion as we can see really, really cool air starting to move down. Again, once we start to look at those blues and also those purples, meaning very, very strong cold temperatures will be moving in. And what we're watching is just the deepening of that system on Sunday and actually to start off the week. So again, portions of the Great Lakes states especially going to be dealing with that bitter cold to kick off the week. Madison, Kansas, partly cloudy, 51 degrees and a low of 20 degrees. Crawford, Nebraska, 33 degrees, low of 8 degrees. And finally, Farmington, Missouri, 51, low of 29.
American farmers plant more than 900,000 acres of potatoes in a given year, with Idaho leading the way, producing about 14.5 billion pounds. But as Jennifer Straley of the Packer reports, it's the industry's annual gathering in Orlando that marks the kickoff of the growing season.
Each year, the National Potato Council convenes its Spudtacular Potato Expo, the largest annual potato industry conference in North America. This year's event, held in Orlando, Florida, drew more than 2,000 attendees and over 200 exhibitors, making it the second biggest potato event in the Expo's 17-year history.
So it's really exciting. When you think of the U.S. potato industry, it generates about $100 billion a year for the U.S. economy, and over 700,000 jobs are in some way dependent on what begins here on America's family potato farms.
Potatoes are big business, and they happen to be America's favorite vegetable.
Because of all the vegetables that are available to Americans, the ones we eat most often are potatoes.
Demand for U.S.-grown potatoes is also on the rise from trade partners around the world.
So we have this huge event every year right after New Year's, where we kick off the year with the entire North American potato industry under one roof. We have 2,000 people here in Orlando. It's U.S., Canada, Mexico. We also have Europeans are here. We've got folks from Asia Pacific and as far out as Australia. It is a great chance to showcase the incredible vibrance, technology, sustainability initiatives of this amazing industry.
All right, thanks Jennifer. From potatoes to pizza. It's a delivery caught on camera that has this driver getting accolades for his effort. Next in the country. Getting pizza delivered out at the farm can sometimes be a challenge due to distance or conditions, but one delivery driver went the extra mile to make sure people got their pies in the middle of a snowstorm. Pizza delivery guy Connor Stefanoff walked a half a mile through deep snow in central Indiana, all to deliver a pie to a customer who lived off a road that had been closed. You would think he would get a big tip, right?
Up a hill, too.
Did you get a good tip?
$2.
Are you kidding me? Man.
The police officer who captured the video spread the word on TikTok of Connor's odyssey and resulting lackluster tip, and it resulted in a GoFundMe effort that has since reached more than $7,000. Now, Connor, who works for Rockstar Pizza in Brownsburg, Indiana, has now earned himself rockstar status. So remember to tip your pizza driver. If you can get a pizza delivered, that is. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day in Farm Country.